Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is your city, your voice, coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the beautiful studios of 4680 Q Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Let's get this show on the road. Show number 600, and I think it's 676, something like that. And we're headed towards 700. And that's going to be fun. Hopefully, my buddy Pete Dichter's in for that show. And should be good. Should be good. Be a good time. And don't worry about me. I'm playing with headphones today because tomorrow, mañana, I have Paul Porter, the voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning, on my Habsolutely show. And because we don't have the access to video and all that, he will be nice and loud and live on the radio part of the show. But the video, I've got to catch him on another microphone, and it's going to be with these headsets sitting around it. So I got to test the levels, make sure everything's okay, and we'll go from there. So it sounds good to me. I think it'll work. I'm going to get back to my regular headphones here and get rid of these. Here we go. Okay, much more comfortable. And you know what? It's going to work out good, I think. So, Paul Porter, if you're listening, I don't know if he listens or not, but if he does, we got to figure it out. I think we can do it. It's going to turn out great. I can't wait to hear Paul Porter's take on what's going to happen in the NHL as we run down to the end of the season. With Tampa Bay Lightning and Montreal Canadiens having 2 games in the next week and a half, and you know what? They're neck and neck. So these are big, important games. We'll see what Paul has to say. Being the voice of the Bolts down in Tampa Bay, Florida. Okay, the weather here. Speaking of Tampa Bay, if you looked outside and you didn't know what the temperature was, you'd swear it's a beautiful Florida day. It's gorgeous out there. Partly cloudy, sun's out. I got up at 4:30 this morning, and it was 28 degrees, but it's jumped up to 36 now. 62% humidity, 58 it's dropped down to, and the barometer's sitting at 29.65 up to 68. We're in a high pressure trend, which means nice weather coming, sunny, clear weather, higher temperature, and we're looking at going into the 50s for the next few days. How about that? Maybe the 40s today. So we can't complain about that weather for the end of March. This is what we expect. This is what we got. I love it. This works out perfect. I love this kind of weather. It's getting nicer every day. Okay, I got some housekeeping to do here before we get into my sponsors. Number one is this little baby right here. If you have any messages to send me during the show, right? 289-994-7560. 289-994-7560. You can text me. I'll see the text, and I guarantee you we'll talk about whatever it is that you're commenting on. Or you have anything to say, just email, ask me for my opinion. I don't care. Whatever. It'll ding. I'll hear it, and I'll answer it. The other bit of housekeeping is I have to get this straight, and I apologize to Pete and Ray. The Big Show, they call their show, Pete and Ray. And every time I talk about it, I call it the Pete and Reet Show. Now, you might think I'm goofy, but I'm not. It was the Pete and Reet Show for so many years. And, of course, Rita Carey, she passed away. And of course, it was supposed to be the Pete, Reet, and Ray Show, the Big Show. But unfortunately, our beautiful Rita Carey passed away, and it turned into the Big Show with Pete and Ray. So let me get that straight. Now, last week, I was on the Big Show with Pete and Ray, and it is broadcast on Fridays and then rebroadcast through the week on Saga 960am.ca. You can go to Saga 960am.ca. You can pick up all the podcasts. And if you go to last week's, it was done on Wednesday. So last Wednesday, whatever that was, You can check out that show. I was on there and we were talking about city politics and a lot of other stuff they talk about. They have regular guests and they invited me on. Thank you very much. So that's the big show with Pete and Ray on Saga, Sauga, like Mississauga, Saga, 960 AM .ca. So there you go. I made my correction. I apologize to these guys. I keep doing it. It's just something that sticks in my mind because it was like that for so long. And Ray is a great guy. He, we got a lot of funny stories with Ray because he came into the show a few times and we had a lot of laughs. So great guy, great guy. So let's get to my sponsors: Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop and Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. Now, you look outside, you can't tell what the weather's going to bring you. We know we're on the right side of it. We're headed towards summer. And in that regard, what you should do is be proactive. Take your car into Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop. Get it checked out, top to bottom, front to back. Make sure your systems are all running right. Ken Hunter at Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop is offering a free spring inspection. That's right. He's going to go through your car. He's going to check all your systems, tell you what's wrong, if there's anything wrong, and correct it for you. And that's important because, once you get into the summer, you don't want to be monkeying around with your car and breaking down. He has all the diagnostic equipment to do this, located on Oakwood Drive next to the Kia dealership. Very, very convenient. Get your car in there and get Ken to check it out before the big rush hits for the summer. Everybody's going to be running in at the last minute. You know it. That's what people do. Get ahead of the curve by going down to Oakwood Drive, and you can go to his website, and that is wildbillsauto.ca, and you can see all the services he has to offer. Wild Bill's Auto. You got to get there. You have a full body shop, too. Get in a wreck, he's going to take your car in and send it back to you in showroom condition. I thank you very much for supporting our sponsors. Tell them Paul from your city, your voice sent you. Now, while you're there at wildbillsauto.ca, jump over to my YouTube channel, Paul Lemire, 4973. Subscribe. There's 211 subscribers. I know a lot of the viewers don't subscribe. I don't know. They think it costs them money, but it's free. And it helps the algorithm. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments. Hey, it helps out the show. It helps to get it out there. We have an important election coming up. The more involved, the merrier. The more people that are watching the show, the better. We're going to tell them what's going on with the city council, what they've done in the past, what they've done in the future, what their promises were when I interviewed all of them 4 years ago. Yeah, we're going to go through all that, and I'm going to be recommending people you might be looking for, not certain individuals, but just people who have certain skills that we might want on city council so that we can make it the most efficient city council in the region and save the taxpayers the most money. Their job is to take care of our money. They're our guardians of our money that we've elected to watch every dime. We don't want them to be spendthrifts. We want them to be penny pinchers. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, so all the housekeeping's done. Let's get the viewer comments. We have some good comments here. And at Muffin Mouse 1350. Hello, Muffin Mouse. How you doing? Hiya, Paul. I have a funny one for you. In the dead of the winter, like -15, we thought it would be nice to order in. Can you believe the fella turned up on an e-bike? Yes, I can believe it. In Canada, that's what happens. It seems crazy. And I was talking about this on my show yesterday, how these e-bikes are a pain in my ass. Food was cold. Well, I guess they're riding around in -15-degree weather with the food on an e-bike. However, we had a good laugh watching this guy trying to drive around the snow, I guess she means. Our newcomers just do not understand. On another note, I wonder what all the tourists would think if they knew about Marineland. Yeah, that's a great question. It makes me sick to think those animals live with such sadness. Who's in charge of this place? A fella named Mad Lab Press did a great documentary on it. If you have time to watch it, I guess it's on YouTube, so you can watch about it. Please, and perhaps if enough people know about this hurricane. I don't know exactly what that means. I guess the hurricane called Marineland. I don't know. Long story, but bloody well, we were happy to be home. Oh, they might have been in a hurricane. I don't know. And yeah, I think that most people that know about Marineland are pretty well disgusted by the situation there. But it is being resolved, and the animals are being rehomed. So hopefully that happens sooner than later. I agree with you 100% about Marineland. It's pretty disgusting what's going on there. Okay, over to Dave Wheeler, 1158, and I always love Dave's comments. So he says, if you read all my comment, you would have seen that I do not want Iran to have a nuke. I'm just pointing out what a lie it is that Iran is a nuclear threat to the US. Well, you know, it's not a lie. That's the problem. And anybody who thinks that it's a lie, that Iran is not a nuclear threat to the US and probably most of the world, with the surprising revelation on the weekend that their ICBMs can reach Diego Garcia 2,500 miles, which puts all European capitals within range now. And they lied about that. They lied about the range of their ICBMs. Now we know better. So if you think they're not a threat to the U.S. after hearing them yell "Death to America," and of course "Death to the infidels," they call the jihad. They call the U.S. Big Satan and Israel Little Satan. I mean, if you think you have to, it's not a lie. They are a threat to the U.S., especially with a nuclear weapon, which they were there. I think you have to reassess your opinion on whether they are a threat or not, and then decide if enriching uranium to 60%, when 3 to 5% is needed for power generation, that's what they claim they're using it for, power generation. Well, you don't have to enrich uranium to 60%. And they're a week or two away from getting it to 90% enrichment, which means it can be used as weapons grade material. And if you think a nuclear armed Iran isn't dangerous to the US and you think it's a lie that they're dangerous to the US, that tells me that you believe they're not a danger to the US and that they should be allowed to have nukes. Why else would you be arguing this point? It doesn't make sense. So you either don't want them to have nukes or you do want them to have nukes. If you give them nukes, they've already threatened to do some, and they've already admitted they have this uranium that's enriched enough to make 11 nuclear weapons, and they have the ICBMs. We've seen them in action. I don't know what more it would take for you to admit they're a threat. If you don't get it, I don't understand why. At the Iceman 69, Gary, you notice the shows are getting shorter. No, they're not getting shorter. They're just in U.S. minutes, and with exchange, they're well over 60 minutes. So you're banging up the wrong tree with that one there, Johnny Ringo Beam. At Dave Wheeler, 1158. North Korea has nukes. North Korea has a delivery system that can make it to that U.S. They also have threatened the U.S. and its allies. Is Trump going for the much more threat of North Korea? Iran is not anywhere close to the threat to the USA than is North Korea. And I say today, great point. North Korea claims it has nukes, but regardless of whether they do or not, they should have never been let get to that point, because now they have the leverage of the threat to blow one off if the United States does anything. And that's exactly, you made the point for me. That's exactly why Iran cannot ever be allowed to have nukes. You made my case and you made Trump's case for going in there, and he's making sure they don't. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. North Korea is a great example of what not to do, how presidents sat back and warned them and everything else, but they let them proceed. And then before they knew it, they had nukes, and then it was too late to do anything. And that's exactly why Trump is in there. Okay. We're knocking these off real quick here. Dave Wheeler, 1158. Do a little research, he says to me. Okay. I don't do any research. I just sit at this desk and talk. They didn't want it at the time. We're talking about the anti-drone technology. Ukraine offered their anti-drone technology to the U.S. 8 months ago. They didn't want it at the time. Zelensky said the U.S. has asked for that technology now because they need help. So Trump went and asked them for help. We need help. Um, Note, new U.S. drones are based on Iranian drones. Okay, let me answer this real quick. I think the advice you're giving me, you should use. I think the saying is practice what you preach. Let me give you this research, as you call it. And this is a quote. I got this right off of Google. And based on March 2026 reports, President Donald Trump has publicly rejected offers of assistance from the Ukraine regarding drone defense in the Middle East. While Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky noted that multiple nations requested help with their anti drone technology, Trump stated, "We don't need their help in drone defense," asserting that the U.S. has superior technology. So it appears Trump didn't ask, Zelensky offered, and Trump turned him down. That's it right there. So, hey, that's my research. Take it for what it is. But that is the truth. That is the truth. Trump never asked help from anybody. You don't see anybody else in there. It's an Israeli and it is a American mission, and they are doing it in cooperation with each other, and they're doing a hell of a job, a bang up job. As far as drones go, the United States has the most advanced technology. Zelensky offered his help. Trump said no. I don't know if he sent any people down there to work or not, but he said he was going to. But as far as I know, nothing. And that's it for comments today. I thank everyone for their comments and look forward to reading them each and every day. Keep the comments coming. We'll talk about it. And it appears that that's it for comments for yesterday. Anyway, we'll see what tomorrow brings. And we'll talk about that on Thursday. Okay, I always talk about the RIDE program and how ineffective it really is at catching drunks. Case in point, I just read this. On St. Patrick's Day, 300 cars were pulled over, and not one person was charged with impaired. One of the biggest drinking days of the year, which it always was in my books. And I know there are a ton of drunks on the road and smoked up people, stoned on the road driving. We see accidents all the time involving these people who are never caught in a ride checkout. That's right. Well, another drunk on the road ran head on into a go bus, injuring 6 people on Sunday at 4 in the afternoon, no less. The bus driver and 5 passengers were sent to hospital, including an infant. Police say a 56-year-old man from Omimi, a small town in Kawartha Lakes, was arrested for impaired driving with 3 times the legal limit of blood alcohol in his system. 2.4. Imagine that. And that's at 4 in the afternoon. In addition to the impaired driving charges, he also faces charges for failing to surrender an insurance card and driving a vehicle with cannabis readily available. So what's the guy smoking up and drinking while he's driving? Booze and weed. Yeah, no wonder he smashed into the bus. How could this guy be driving around? He smashes into a bus. He's so gassed, but nobody saw him weaving or anything, and no police saw him. But the driver from Omimi was released from custody with a promise to appear in court at a later date. His license was suspended for 90 days, and the SUV he was driving was impounded for a week. He will go back to Omimi, jump into his other car, and be on the road again. Guaranteed. This isn't his first rodeo. You don't just all of a sudden one day decide to get hammered and smoke it up and drive around. I mean, he probably does this all the time. They never said if he had a record or not. But he'll be back on the street. They're letting him out. He's back out, and He's going to be back on the street, guaranteed. He doesn't give a damn about his license or any charges. Oh my goodness, it's just crazy. If anyone should be in jail until his trial date, this guy should be. Ride didn't catch him. Ride doesn't really catch anybody. It's time to disband the ride program and put those officers on the streets using their eyeballs to catch drunk drivers at 4 in the afternoon. And of course, if any of you in the public see any person driving down the street impaired, weaving, bobbing, acting stupid, cutting people off, anything like that, report them. You could save somebody's life. Report these guys. It's ridiculous. 4 in the afternoon, 2.4, 3 times the legal limit with weed in the car too. And you know what? The criminal justice system doesn't lock him up. They let him out till his trial date. He'll be driving again. He don't care. He doesn't have insurance. He didn't have a license. Okay, anyone who's had to put up with short-term rentals in their neighborhoods, this is nice to see. A targeted bylaw blitz to help identify and address illegal vacation rental units. There are thousands in Niagara Falls. It's resulted in $37,000 worth of fines being issued in this blitz. Yay for bylaw officers. Municipal enforcement officers took formal action against about 50 properties that were suspected of running illegal VRUs, vacation rental units. 25 of those properties have since come into compliance with bylaws, including one that obtained a license, and 24 totally removed their short-term rental listing. For now, anyway. They'll probably be back up in a week. Paid $1,000 fine. They'll probably have them back up. $1,000 fine is nothing. They can make that in 3 days on a weekend. You charge $2,000 for the weekend. They can make that back easy. So what's $1,000? They'll pay it. They'll put their listing back on, and away they go. The key here is reporting residences that are suspected of operating illegally and getting them in compliance or shutting them down completely. I hope these bylaw officers or somebody, of all the people we have working at City Hall, continue to monitor the 24 that say they removed their short-term rental listing. Those are the ones you have to keep an eye on. You know they're going to be back. $1,000 is nothing. They can make that back in a weekend. For more information, go to niagarafalls.ca/VRU to file a complaint. Go to service.niagarafalls.ca. These illegal VRUs in quiet neighborhoods can be brutal. Brutal. Report them, get rid of them once and for all. Thank you to Race Materia, the review, for the article regarding VRUs, and I suggest that you report them if your neighbor's got one, and if they don't comply, that is, because there's a lot of ways to comply at this point. Also, I hope the city does monitor these 24 that took off their listing, because I say in another couple weeks, as we move towards the tourist season and people are looking for these, they're going to be right back up and running. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. What's the most that can happen? They can find another 1,000? Big deal. They can make that back in a weekend. They'll go 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or whatever before they're caught. They pocketed 10 grand. They got to cough up 10%, $1,000. Yeah, that's a cheap price to pay to make that kind of money. Okay, well. Immigration says they did not follow up or investigate a large number, whatever that means, of high-risk cases, whatever that means, of international students, and that weakens the integrity of the international student program. Now, I've talked about this a lot of times. Mike Lucid was in here talking about these universities, like the University of Niagara Falls, that are diploma mills, and they're getting these students in to the country with student visas, and they never show up for a day of classes. And that's why the government's put a limit on them now. Auditor General Karen Hogan says her audit found the department doesn't have the resources to meet the demand for student visa investigations and simply didn't act when claims of fraud came up in hundreds of approved applications. Hundreds? Is she kidding me? You talk about gaslighting. Hundreds? I'm talking more like hundreds of thousands. I mean, it's already been admitted by these colleges that 50,000 students were granted student visas and they never attended a day of classes. We've already been through this. And 20,000 of them were from India. Where are they? Where are they? Nobody knows. They just blend in with the other 3 million Indians in the country or more. There's probably more. A lot of illegals. Never to be seen again. Yeah, they just blend in. Never to be seen again. You don't know where they are. They don't know where they are. The other 30,000, who the hell knows where they are, where they're from? But I digress. It's a nightmare. The whole thing is a nightmare. No checks and balances. No vetting. Now, immigration Immigration Minister Lena Diab told the House of Commons Immigration Committee that the report offers a preliminary look at 4 years plus. This is a preliminary look at 4 years plus plan to reform the immigration student program, so it will continue as is until she figures it all out. I guarantee you they don't want to even figure it out. They don't even care. They're not going after these people. They're a joke. An audit of the program says about 150,000 cases in 2023-24 were flagged because the student visa holders were not complying with the terms of their study permits. We know that. They didn't even show up for a class. They go right to work part-time hours on their student visa. They're allowed to, and they work full-time hours, adding to it when the people pay them cash. Then they pay them probably half the legal minimum wage. I mean, we talked about this many, many times, and they're just finding it out. Not complying. They might not be complying. Not complying. They're not even going to school. You know, these colleges, the University of Niagara Falls included, have been deemed by many people as diploma mills, taking money from immigrants, issuing student visas to skirt immigration laws, and the students can also bring over their families. A giant immigration scam, nothing more, nothing less. There are about 2 million, probably more, in Canada illegally. Their visas have run out and they haven't left. Most of them unvetted and dangerous. They meld into the community. Nobody knows who they are or where they are. Their community, allegedly good Canadians, would never finger them or turn them over for being here illegally. They tax our public service systems since the government gives them health care and other freebies. But with open borders, we're just inviting these people to come in illegally. We're inviting fraud, and it hurts hardworking, honest Canadians, including immigrants who have gone through the process and are here legally. It hurts them too. The government will never change. This is the liberal curse on the Canadian people. It's never going to change. It's never going to change. Okay, half hour's up in Canada. Here we go down south, and some good news from Trump. And I'm going to get to that after I talk about my second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. The one pizza you got to try at Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue is what they call Pete's Works. And this thing is loaded up with everything. Olives, black olives, pepperoni, you name it, it's got it on it. And it is fantastic. Why? Because they use the Mancini recipe for the sauce. They use the Mancini recipe for the crust. They know how to put that beautiful sauce on the crust and then put that cheese in the right ratio. They add on a whack of fresh toppings, put some more cheese on it, cook it just right. You got yourself a winner. And I'm telling you, this is a 2-piece pizza. There's so many toppings on it. It's fantastic. If you like toppings, this is your pizza. They also have great wings. They also have great poutine, steak and cheese poutine, steak sandwiches, chicken parm sandwiches, panzerotti. They have a full menu. You're going to love their food. They do it right. Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue and now on Kaler Road at Thoroldstone Road at the corner there. And that's their second location they opened for the northwest part of the city. You can't go wrong. 905-374-2222 to get your fresh pizza. Or you can go to their website, pizzavictoria.ca, and you will see their great, great pizza. You can't go wrong. I'm telling you, you will love it. Pizzavictoria.ca. Order your pizza today. They use Dine and Skip and all the other services that deliver pizza fresh to your door. It's amazing. Give it a shot today. Tell them Paul from Your City, Your Voice sent you. And please support our small business people, not just Pete's Pizza and Wild Bill's Auto and Repair and Body Shop, but all the small businesses in Niagara Falls. They're good corporate citizens. They're trying their best to make a go of a business. Support them all you can. Okay, some good news as Trump winds down the war and guarantees that the Strait of Hormuz will remain open and navigable. Navigable. I got that word? It's hard to say. Navigable. Hey, you blamed him for the increase in gas prices. Everybody's crying. Oh, the TDS people. It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. Not that big oil will gouge you any chance they get. They forget about the long weekends when the oil went up 10 cents a liter just because. Just because. They forget about that, but they blame Trump. Trump or climate change, one or the other. Trump said the war is winding down, even saying that talks with Iran were very productive and extending his threat to take out all Iran power plants. He extended it by 5 days. It was supposed to happen last night at 7:30 if they didn't agree to some kind of a plan here. So he extended that by 5 days, and they're working on this plan to keep the strait open. It's very, very important. Prices are expected to drop by 13 cents on Wednesday just because of this good news, with a 20-cent drop in the price of diesel. Good news all around, and you can expect bigger drops as the war winds down. Now, of course, we know that Canadians never get a break, of course, because our liberal government are a bunch of goofs. Don't forget about the April Fool's Day increases on the carbon tax. Could jump gas by 7 cents. So any savings you're going to see from the strait being open and good news on the horizon, it's going to be hammered by the 7 cents a liter carbon tax on gas with another 10 cents in mid-April as the oil companies jumped in on the ripoff. Why? Because winter gas. They're replacing winter gas. And they have to jump the prices because they're getting rid of winter gas. They're swapping over to summer gas. What a crock. This is the biggest crock I've ever seen. Right? And then, of course, we had the Easter weekend. Don't be surprised if they jump in another 10 cents. Who knows? Of course, the climate change hoax drives all this nonsense. And even if Trump settles things in the Middle East with Iran and the Strait, remains open, the government and oil companies will continue to pick our pockets for the time being. You always have to follow the money, and we are the only nation in North America that has to pay a carbon tax. Nobody else pays a carbon tax, not the U.S., not Mexico. Nope, only Canada. Only can we get gouged. Man, I'll tell you, a change of government can comes fast enough for me. I hope Poilievre, if he does get in, or Poilievre, if he does get in, I just hope he knocks this carbon tax out of the park, gets rid of it, and gets rid of the Paris Accord and all these other climate change hoaxes. Trump did because he knows the truth, and we have to follow that and get these gas prices down. It's ridiculous what we're paying. And I got some gas yesterday, and I paid $1.92 a liter. So I use premium. $1.92 a liter. That's right. Hopefully it comes down. I mean, I was paying $1.40 something. Now, think Canada doesn't support and harbor terrorists? No, we don't do that. Even though Carnage said Muslim values are Canadian values, we don't harbor terrorists, which is not true, and we don't support them, which is not true. Well, get this. The U.S. Treasury Department has named Canada as an operations base for Hezbollah terror funding. A Qatar-based CEO and his Canadian company is accused of laundering money to fund the Iran-backed terror group Hezbollah, with 16 individuals and groups named in a sweeping announcement to cut off funds to the Islamic regime proxy forces. The U.S. Department of the Treasury Office of Foreign Access Control designated a network of 16 individuals and entities, including Canada, as a base of operations for a Hezbollah financier and a former public investment official, Allah Hassan Hamai, and her associates. I have no doubt that this just scratches the surface of what's going on in Canada and Canadian support for terror groups. Remember, our PM said Muslim values are Canadian values. Well, Muslim values are not my values. I don't think beating women, forcing them to cover up with big blankets and everything, I don't think that's right. Not letting them drive, not letting them vote. I don't think that's my values. I'll tell you that. You don't talk for me, Canada, this carnage. Their values have nothing to do with my values. And now the U.S. Treasury Department is laying the line on these companies in Canada that are supporting and funding terrorism. We saw it in Minnesota. We saw the truth come out. They were funding these terrorist groups from Somalia. And now we're seeing it in Canada. And the U.S. Treasury Department has issued a statement saying that. You don't have to believe it if you don't want. Look it up. But it sure doesn't help the situation as we try to work out some kind of a deal with the United States and President Trump. Okay, are you interested in a tiny home? Well, in Wasaga Beach, they're considering ditching the current zoning bylaw regarding tiny homes, which now stands at a minimum of 93 square meters or about 1,000 square feet. That's the smallest you can build, and moving to a size designated by the Ontario Building Code, which sets the minimum size at 17.5 square meters, about 200 square feet. Now, this is interesting because I don't know if you've ever had a mobile home or a trailer or anything like that. You know you can live great within 500 square feet. Not a problem. I mean, I had a place at Shirkston, and it was 500 square feet, and I had 3 bedrooms, full kitchen, a living room, full bath, and everything. We had everything there. It was like a house. All you do when you get into a smaller home is get rid of junk. Right now, my house is filled with junk. I got to clean it all out and get rid of all the crap over 60 years of living there, like, so now it's you can build something like this. A lot of people fear this will lead to wheeled trailers being used. In other words, these mobile homes or whatever, these places like I had at the resort at Shirkston, they're just going to be plopped down on a piece of land, and they're not made for winter. They're really not homes. They don't go by building codes. They're not made for all year round, and they're not very, very tough. They break easy. Let me put it that way. But the new builds that they're talking about will have to follow the same rules for development as a normal sized house. So it will be considered a single detached house and follow the rules for that type of build. It has to be built to code, has to fit in with the design of the neighborhood. It cannot be a trailer plopped onto a lot. Like I said, the build would have to go through zoning, a feasibility study, design, construction, and service assessments, just like building a regular house. And I love this idea because it's going to give a lot of people who just don't have the funds to spend 600,000 or 650 on their own home. It's going to give them something they can afford comfortably and be able to start out at their home. I think really you can call them the wartime houses of the 2020s. Something the Niagara Falls Council could buy into. Stay tuned. We'll see if anybody brings it up. But they've talked about small homes before, but this is a really, really interesting concept. A lot of people could take advantage of this. And you say, well, I don't know about that, but hey, right now they're allowed these additional living units in the back yard of your house. If you have a backyard and you want to build an ADU, additional dwelling unit in your backyard, you can do it. Now it has to conform everything that a normal house build would be, but it's small, maybe 500 square feet. And it's got to have sewers, got to have electricity, got to have running water. It's got to have the whole 10 yards. But you can do it. So is building these on separate lots, single family dwellings on separate lots in a designated area that mixes in and that conforms to the houses that live there, only smaller, why not? Why not? And if you could grab one for 300,000 or 400,000, why not? There's a lot of people who would love to own a house. They just don't have the funds to do it. Now could be an opportunity. We'll see what Sega Beach does, and then we'll see what the city of Niagara Falls, if they take a look at this and see if it's feasible in the city to allow everybody a chance to own a home. You start there and you move up, much like the wartime house people did back in the 50s, 40s, and 50s after the war. Okay, back to Trump for a minute here. Well, for a long time, actually. There's lots going on now. Interesting statement by Trump today. And what he said was, on second thought, after watching Canadians see their country getting much worse under Trudeau and increasing their support for Carney, I'm no longer interested in having Canada as the 51st state. He don't even want us anymore. We don't need that liberal cancer in America. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Wow. This statement is going to trigger all the TDS people in Canada. They're going to be yelling and whining and screaming about the orange man bad and the kook down south. That's what our city council member calls them, the kook down south. This is going to get good when they start whining and crying over Trump's statement. I can't wait to see what's going on. This is going to trigger them all. Now, is this statement true? Yeah, I believe it is. Even if it's not, he's correct. Whoever wrote this is correct. I mean, what do you think of this statement? You think he's off base, or yeah, why bother with Canada? It's lost. You don't even want it as the 51st state. It's a swamp. Leave comments on the video. See what you think. Give it to me, and I'll give you an answer. What do you think? Speaking of Trump, after some productive talks, Trump has delayed the bombing of Iran's power plants, like I said, and decimating the power grid in Iran. He was going to wipe out their power plants and put them in darkness. So he's delayed that for 5 days from Monday's deadline of 7:30. So Monday will be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday will be D-Day. If they don't have something done by then, if they haven't had productive meetings, then it could happen. Now, some Iranian leaders said Trump is lying. He's lying. We never talked to anybody. There have been no talks with anybody, any Iranians. But other powers, like the mullahs, say they are in talks with the U.S. So what Trump's saying is true. Of course, the left-wing media in the U.S. and all the TDS people around the world believe the Iranians. Trump tells them they're in negotiations. Whitmore and Kirshner, Jared Kushner's son-in-law, are out there talking to these guys. They've talked to somebody, I don't know who, and who even knows who's in power in Iran right now. Trump's wiped out 3 tiers of leadership, and some guy who was supposed to be the supreme leader can't be found, hasn't been seen since he was declared supreme leader. Some say he's dead, some say he's in a coma. Some say his leg got blown off. Some say he's who knows where the hell he is. He hasn't even showed up except on a cardboard cutout. And why the media would back Iran rather than Trump after listening to Iran lie about everything, including their range of their ballistic missiles, including they said they sank a U.S. aircraft carrier wrong. They said so many things that are lies. And over all negotiations since 1979, when this guy took over, they've lied about everything. And this is a typical tactic they use. Give us 5 days. Let's have talks. Give us 5 more days and we'll get this settled. And then they never do. And once they settle it, it doesn't matter to them. They'll break every tenet of the New Deal anyway. Tell them not to make nuclear weapons. They do anyway. They throw the inspectors out. Every condition that they've agreed to, they've broke over the years. Who's going to trust them? Not Trump, that's for sure. You cannot win with the left wing media and Democrats. If he wants to bomb Iran, they call him insane. Then they call for his impeachment under the 25th Amendment. Now, if he says he doesn't want to bomb them, he's going to give him a chance to. He's going to give him a chance for peace here. They say he chickened out. He threatened to bomb them. Now he's not bombing them, and that he chickened out and bent a knee to the Iranians because he knows the U.S. is losing the battle. So Trump can't win. If he does, they say he's insane. Impeach him. If they don't, he say he's chickened out because he knows Iran's losing the war and he's lying about the war, what's going on. Even though Al Jazeera even says it was brilliant, his campaign. He's losing the battle, and they want to impeach him for losing the battle. They are really corrupt goofballs and actually a danger to the U.S. and the military that is carrying out the mission in Iran. I wish they would shut the hell up. Oh, man, it never ends with these guys. Who needs the oil? Can anybody answer that question? Well, let me answer it. The U.S. now produces more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. The U.S. produces more natural gas than Russia, Iran, and China combined. And yet you hear from a small group of people, mostly left-wing media and Democrats, that the U.S. is screwed if the strait closes down. Oh my God, it's going to be terrible. Gas prices are going to be $10,000 a gallon. Nothing could be farther from the truth. That's all nonsense. That's all nonsense. The U.S. is not screwed, but Europe is, China is, Japan is, because 20% of the oil that comes out of the Gulf or the Persian Gulf through the Strait goes to Europe, and the other 80% goes to Asia. So yeah, they're screwed, and they realized that when Trump said, "You're on your own. We're pulling out. We're getting out of this war shortly, and then you're going to have to keep the Strait open because it's your problem now. You need 80% of that oil." So they all of a sudden decided, "Oh, geez, yeah, maybe it is in our best interest to keep the Strait open." And they decided to help. Now, Trump had it right from the beginning. He played it perfect again. The thought that TDS gang, that Trump had no plan in Iran, he was just operating out of left field. I mean, it's totally absurd. They had a plan. They had a schedule of what they were going to take out, how they were going to attack Iran, an actual agenda of how they were going to do it. It's all strategically planned. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they decimated a country in 3 weeks with the cooperation of Israel, both of them together. Now, they might not have had the same exact goals, but at the end of the day, they got done what they had to do. And you cannot decimate a country like they have, taken out their military, taken out their navy, taken out their launch sites, taking out everything, all the military stuff that they need to take out. You don't do that without a plan. He knows exactly what he's doing. President Trump does, how to implement the plan and how to achieve success. And all you have to do to figure it out is let the results be the judge. Let the results be the judge. And it's not over yet, because there are these fringe elements out there that still have drones and weapons, and they're still firing them off. But at the end of the day, every time they launch, satellites pick it up. They know exactly where it is. They go in and take it out. So they're just exposing themselves at this point. Now it's about the cleanup and to end the conflict in Iran. Iran has been neutralized. Its leaders are gone. Its military is gone. Its navy is gone. Its weapons manufacturing ability is gone. There's nothing left except regime change and a better life for free Iranians, and that's what's going to happen. So anybody out there who thinks Trump never had a plan, oh, they never had a plan, they just went in there and did, no. You don't know Trump. If you say that, you don't know Trump at all. Now, obviously, through all this. The U.S. knows the Iranians whine and cry about everything and have never kept one promise they've made in any negotiation. And the one eye opener in this whole 3-week war that really got people's attention was these two ballistic missiles, ICBMs, that were shot at Diego Garcia, because Iran kept claiming we don't have the ability to reach more than 1,300 miles. We do not have that ability. Now, with these two launches, everybody knows they do have that ability, that they can hit every major city in Europe, including Paris, London, Berlin, anywhere they want. And you know what? To develop one that could hit the United States isn't that quantum of a leap. It's just having another stage. They've already said they're shooting missiles into space. So they got to have more than one stage to get into space. They've got it. They just have to put it together. And it won't take long to reach the shore of the east coast of the United States and put Washington and New York and other cities on the east coast in danger as well. So it's very, very important. And this opened everybody's eyes to exactly what they have and what the capabilities are. And imagine if they had a 90% enriched uranium, weapons grade uranium, that they could make a bomb with and put on the end of one of these missiles and fire it. If there was ever proof that Israel and the United States are doing the right thing right now, this is it. It opened everybody's eyes to their capabilities. And it's even more important now that they finish the job. They wipe them out so they can't do this. And they are a threat. And it's not a lie. They are a threat. And they could be very shortly a nuclear threat if not kept in check by President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. Hey, take your hats off, because, yeah, Iran with a nuclear weapon is a pretty scary thought. It's a pretty scary thought. And, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me today. Prayers for Cuba. That's going to be resolved shortly as well. And the Cuban people, pray for them as well, because they're great people and they deserve better than they've been getting for 67 years. And that's going to happen because of the pressure President Trump is putting on Cuba. You're going to see regime change. It's going to happen pretty fast. Stay tuned. Tomorrow, absolutely. And I'm going to have, at the beginning of the show, the voice of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Paul Porter, on the show, talking the 2 games left against Tampa and the march to the playoffs, which is not that far away. Not that far away, about 13 or 14 games. Thursday is going to be Straight Talk Thursday, and the City Council agenda will be out on Thursday. So I anticipate taking a look at that Thursday afternoon, and I'll give you a real quick scan of it on Friday morning on my show on Finally Friday. And then I would imagine my buddy Dave Wheeler will be in the studio Monday morning, or Monday at noon anyway, noon sharp, to do the agenda review and look at the City Council meeting. That will happen March 31st at 4 p.m. in City Council Chambers, City Hall in Queen Street. You can catch it live on YouTube, on sometimes CoachGo.ca, the local station, and also at NiagaraFalls.ca. So, exciting rest of the week coming up. Good start to next week. I still want to get some more guests in here. But man, there's so much going on. It's hard to get a guest, and I will get somebody in though, and we'll talk about a lot of other stuff. Anyway, that's it for me today. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live from the studios of 4680Q in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Oh, support our sponsors: Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop and Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. Don't forget about the big show with Pete and Ray. I got it right. Yes, on Saga, 960 AM.ca. You can go there and listen to the podcast from last week. I was on it, and you can listen to for future podcasts around 3 in the afternoon. I think the show comes on Fridays. and it's repeated at different times throughout the week. Anyway, that's it for me. God bless you all. Have a great day. It's beautiful out there. We're looking for better weather coming up. I'll see you tomorrow with Habsolutely if you're a Habs fan. If you're not, we'll see you Thursday with Your City, Your Voice. And we'll talk about whatever's going on in the news. And it's non-stop news these days. There's lots going on as we move through the Iranian crisis. We move through the Cuban crisis. And we always have a crisis in Canada with carnage at the helm. Take care. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. Love you all.